he like ultimately decided to divorce me because he said like his bloodline was too important. That was something, you know, he referred to having kids as a bloodline.
There was a very prominent gay community in Atlanta, and a lot of them like went to that gym, and like me, my super straight ass, just like in this gym surrounded by people.
We had like an old 4-bed 2-bath house I was filming like almost like TradWife content, very like homemaker. And now I live in like a tiny little low-income apartment by myself. Hi, I'm Bailey, and this is Brain Juice with Noah Keisler.
Bailey, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to talk to you. How you been?
I'm good. How have you been?
Wonderful. I've been wonderful. Bailey, I am extremely excited to have this conversation because you are the first person that has done my like AI onboarding exercise, which is like extra as hell and big pain in the ass, but you nailed it.
Thank
and
you.
Your report was great. I don't know, what were your thoughts about that?
Liked it. So I did it in 2 different days because it really made me think, and I needed to like sleep on it and then come back to it.
Hell yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad that it got you thinking, and I think it really did a good job of like, you know, solidifying your brand. Like to me, I know that your brand is probably solidified over on your YouTube channel, but like for the purposes of this show, I think it did a really good job. I used your report to generate an intro here, so I'm going to give you kind of a Marvel Cinematic Universe intro. Okay, here we go. Okay. Today on Brain Juice, I'm sitting down with Bailey, a wellness creator, YouTuber, and creative strategist whose life rerouted in the ER after a violent car crash. She started her channel deep in the heart of a Planet Fitness with a camera and no blueprint. Since then, she's survived a marriage to a Christian nationalist, rebuilt her identity in public, and figured out how to eat vegan on $200 a month. She tracks her life in Google Sheets, working in healthcare admin, deadlifts with candles burning, and gently blows up every stereotype about healing, femininity, and productivity. She's not here to sell you a 30-day challenge. She's here to tell the truth. This episode is about what happens after your life collapses and how to build something softer, smarter, and more human in its place. What do you think? Kind of a cheesy intro, huh?
I love it, though. I love it.
Fantastic. Okay, so I've got like a conversation here planned that's like a very serious conversation, but I thought we would start from like a fun place.
Okay.
And so my first question to you, Bailey, is that your most viewed episode or your most viewed YouTube video on your YouTube channel is about how to grow your glutes. And so I thought, like, if I were to ask you, the expert, like, if I, Noah Chrysler, was trying to grow like the fattest, juiciest ass possible, right? If I was really trying to grow just like the fucking like bubble butt, like, you know, just like I'm gonna like, you know, glute max, okay?
Yes.
Like, I'm going to design my life in a way that grows my ass as efficiently as possible so that it's just like big and voluptuous and huge. What do I do, Bailey?
You come to my YouTube channel and watch all of my YouTube videos.
Good answer.
Yeah, you definitely want to be
Fantastic
lifting heavy.
answer.
You can't skip the hip thrust. I know a lot of people don't want to do hip thrust because they look awkward to do in public, but you just have to do it. And yeah.
When did you start like getting in the gym, doing those hip thrusts? Because yeah, that is a very awkward thing to do, right? It takes like some like, I don't know, suspension of like, oh, okay, they're gonna like judge me and stuff. When did you start that?
I started going to the gym in high school. I did track and cross country, and then I felt like when I'm not doing track and cross country anymore, I wanted something to keep me active. So that's why I went to the gym. I didn't do hip thrusts for the longest time because I thought it looked awkward. I didn't want to do that. So it wasn't until like college when I started working out with other girls that also wanted to build their glutes that we did it together, and it felt like less awkward.
Sure. Yeah, you had a little bit of a tribe to kind of insulate you from some of the weirdness. For sure. Yeah. My journey with fitness, I started in Atlanta. When I was in Atlanta, I was like overweight and kind of not happy with my life. And I went to I like deliberately went to the scariest gym that I could possibly find. And there was this place called the Training Room. And
like
so I went there.
Bodybuilding scary?
Yeah, like bodybuilding.
Vintage kind of look.
So not really. It was kind of like bodybuilding, but it was also like CrossFit, right? It was like, it was like very like practical new age bodybuilding where like you're trying to fit an aesthetic, right? Is essentially what I think a lot of the people there, that's kind of what the programs were designed for. And so, yeah, I remember like hip thrust days were very strange, right? Where it's like, this is a little bit strange. And like, here's something that like, if I talk about, people are going to be like, they're going to leave some mean comments, but like, you know, there was a very prominent gay community in Atlanta, and a lot of them like went to that gym, and I realized like, oh, like that's who you want around you when you're trying to get into shape, especially aesthetically, you know, because like they know exactly how to do it, right? Like they're like,
Yes.
oh, but it was really funny, you know, I'm doing hip thrusts surrounded by like, you know, some people who I'm making assumptions, but like they seemed like they might be into same-sex relationships, which is fantastic. Yeah. But like, I don't know, I just thought it was really funny. My super straight ass, just like in this gym surrounded by people. I don't know, doing hip thrusts. Anyway, cool. Let's move on to a real conversation about your life. Cool. You sent me this story about how you were in a car accident, right? You were married to this guy who was a Christian nationalist, and then you wind up in the ER.
Not before we got married, that I was aware of.
Got it. Tell me the story.
That he came out about that. Starting with the car crash.
Starting either with the car crash or the story of your marriage, because I think that both of those things sound fascinating.
The car crash came first. We were in a relationship when that happened. That was in 2020, and that was my, like, what do you call that when you almost die and then you're like, oh, so I could be dead right now. And it made me realize like what I actually wanted to do, because I always liked to make videos, and I never posted them to YouTube because of what people might think. I was worried about, especially like people that knew me finding my videos, that kind of thing. So after the car accident, I uploaded my first video from the hospital because I was like, actually, I don't want to live my life worried about what people might think of me. That's no way to live. So that was how I got started on YouTube. It was something I always wanted to do, but just needed that like near-death experience to help me upload.
That's wonderful. I think that that's so cool, and I think that that's really nice, because it when you're at a position like that where you're at, like when you're sitting in the hospital thinking like, oh my God, I could have died, right? Yeah. Like you start to realize like, wait a minute, what am I afraid of, right? Because like I can kind of make it through this, right? It seems like I can survive this terrible car crash, right? So like, what am I actually afraid of? I think it kind of reframes fear. Do you think that is kind of what happened in the hospital? Yeah. Cool. When you started making videos originally, you said that you were afraid of like what people in your life might think about you, or they might like judge you and stuff. Can you tell me about that? Like, tell me about some experiences and some stories around that.
Especially like being cringe. I was just like worried about being cringy. I know, not too long after the accident, I started filming myself like in the gym, and the gym that I was going to at the time wasn't Planet Fitness, and people didn't take that very well, would kind of like laugh and point at my camera and like talk to their friends and stuff. So yeah, I'm like, especially when you're new and you're not like making any money and you're not getting any views, it feels extra awkward, because you're like, what am I doing if nobody's actually watching these videos?
That is so real, and I experience that so much. It's like, oh my God, yeah. But you know what? In order to make anything, you have to take a leap of faith, right? And I personally like love people that do that, right? Because it's crazy. You have to be a little bit crazy to go to the gym with a camera and be like, hey, someday somebody is going to care about the ideas in my mind, like, you know, that, and so I need to start documenting them. I think that that's really cool. Cool. So you're in this car crash, you begin making YouTube videos. Did that introduce you to, did your husband stumble across those videos or something, or your ex-husband?
No, he was open to it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that we didn't get married until 23, and the accident was 2020. But yeah, he does like Twitch streaming. That's his full-time job. So yeah, doesn't mind. He actually helped me learn how to use like editing software and all of that.
Got it.
It was mostly like people from high school that I was worried about. I don't know why, because they're like people I don't talk to anymore. It doesn't matter. And I find like now, especially on Instagram, a lot of people, they don't follow me, but they watch all my Instagram stories. Really like people from high school. I'm like, you're welcome to follow.
I think it's fun. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I have like so many people from high school, and I'm just like, okay, like I'm a different person. I don't really care what these people think. Like, you know, like I don't know. I know exactly what you're feeling though, like, you know, where it's like you just start posting and it's like these people are judging me, and I don't know. Some people feel very, very comfortable sending me just like horrible messages. Has anybody ever reached out to you and said like something critical, like from your past?
From my past? No, I don't think so. But I do have very strict like filters on my comments. Like I have like a paragraph of like words that I just don't want in my comments, and I don't see them.
Cool. That's great. That's wonderful. Cool. Are you okay with talking about your marriage and that sort of thing? Or wonderful. Cool. How long were you married, and when did you realize like, this is not going to work out?
We were married for 13 months. It was pretty early on that I wouldn't say that I didn't think it was going to work out. I was early on that I realized I wasn't happy, but I felt obligated to stay because I felt like that's when he got into like Christian nationalism, a lot of like QAnon like things, conspiracy theories, believing all that kind of stuff that he would see on social media. And we wanted to have a family, so I very quickly like got on birth control and everything because I didn't feel like I saw it more as like a mental health thing. Like he's going through some mental health struggles. I tried to encourage him to like go to therapy, get off social media, that kind of thing. He like ultimately decided to divorce me because he said like his bloodline was too important. That was something, he referred to having kids as a bloodline.
Oh my God.
So that's why he decided to get divorced. So I kind of was like, oh, this is just like a phase that he's going through, just like mental health. And I didn't feel like that was a good time to divorce him, with it being, those kind of struggles that he was having.
Got it. You felt kind of obligated to stay and support him as he was like kind of going down these like QAnon rabbit holes and like these conspiracy theory things. And then he's ultimately like, hey, we need to get divorced because of the bloodline. That's crazy, dude. Yeah. What does your family say? Like when you tell your parents like, hey, my husband says that he needs to divorce me because of the bloodline. Like what do your parents say to that?
Well, so it was really tough like going through that because I didn't tell anybody because I thought like, it's just a phase, like he's having mental health struggles. And I didn't want to open up to my family about that because I didn't, when you, like a friend does something bad or you're like, do I tell my parents this? Because they're going to remember forever. When I go back to that friend, they're going to be like, well, remember that time they screwed you over?
You're very strategic about what you tell your parents about your partner.
So I'm like,
I think that's a very good strategy.
If I tell my parents he's going through this, then like they're going to bring it up all the time.
Right.
And I felt like, that was something private between us. So I didn't bring it up until we decided together, like, we're getting a divorce. Then I called my mom and was like, we're getting divorced. And it like came out of nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I do think though that like, I don't know, with my parents, I'm extremely honest about everything in my life. And what you're saying is correct. Like, when I do tell them negative things about my partner, they like don't forget, right? Like they're like, oh, well, did she do X, Y, and Z? Remember this? And it's like, oh fuck. Like, it's like, well, yeah, mom, but like I moved past that and like, but I think that's very human though, right? To like hold grudges like against people who have harmed your kids or something like that. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me, but I'm sorry about that situation. I mean, that sounds deeply difficult, but like, I don't know, do you feel like you're stronger for going through that? Or do you think
Yeah, absolutely.
In what ways? In what ways do you think? Here's a question I've got here. And that is that what beliefs did you hold during that marriage or before that marriage that feel foreign to you now?
I know I felt like obligated in a way to like fix him and a lot. So I found the QAnon, there's like on Reddit like a support, basically QAnon casualties. It's for like basically like a support group for people who have family members that fall into QAnon beliefs, and I found a lot of support through that. And they were talking about like, well, you can like lead a horse to water but you can't make them drink, that kind of thing, where I would try to help. So I feel like I've definitely become more selfish. Even like because I was in that relationship, we were together for 6 years, and I just tried to like help him in every way possible, like even outside of his mental health. But like with his business, he had like 2 businesses when we were together, and just trying to support him through all of that. But now I have learned that I need to be more selfish and think about what I want. Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. I think that that's very interesting. I think that like as I've gone through negative experiences in my own life, like I think it's very interesting how I think when people start out in their adult lives, they start out as like kind of amorphous, right? Like it's like they want to keep their optionality open, right? They want to be like very nice to everybody all the time. But like as negative things happen to you in your life, like you start to realize like, okay, there are consequences if I do not stand up and advocate for myself, right? And so I think that that's actually incredibly powerful to hear that, like, I don't know, it sounds like you're firmer in your boundaries. You're more intentional as you're looking for relationships and things. How has dating been affected since post-divorce?
So I got on Tinder right away after the divorce. I think because it was ultimately his decision to get the divorce, so I wanted to feel like I was single by choice. And I was like, if I go on Tinder and I go on dates, then I'm choosing to be single. But it was good. Like, I met other people that weren't like my ex, and that was good. But I would say I think when women go through divorces, they become very, like, not anti-man, but they're like not afraid to tell men how they feel. And I would be like just brutally honest, especially if I was with, like, not to be political, but someone that was a bit conservative. I wasn't afraid to tell him, like, what I thought.
Hey, dude, are you sure you're not fucking crazy? Because, like, my last guy was a little bit, he really believed that there was a pizza shop with some kids trapped in the basement. So, like, you know, you got to tell me if you're fucking nuts. No, for sure, dude. Like, sorry. I bet your husband, I don't know. I bet your ex is like I don't know. Honestly, I was going to say he sounds like a nice guy, but he doesn't sound like a nice guy. So, I don't know. That's
I don't know either. I can't say.
No, I think that's great. I think in my life, I'm the same way now. It's like, you know, like, everyone I'm surrounded by seems to be very polite. And, like, now that I've dealt with real shit, it's just like, oh, okay. Like, here's exactly what I think most of the time. Like, you know, like, sure, you don't want to make people deliberately uncomfortable, but just by being super raw. But, like, I think that just that level of honesty where it's just like, I don't care how this is perceived on your end. This is just true to me. And, like, you need to understand this. Like, that level of conviction, I think, is very powerful. Do you feel that? What's something that, like, you've said on a date that, like, made somebody feel uncomfortable potentially or something like that?
There's one guy that I just remember basically, like, calling out for being conservative when he said, like, he wasn't. And I was like, well, your actions say otherwise. And then he never talked to me again. There's another guy that I was out with, who's, like, a physician, primary care physician. He has, like, a family practice, and I didn't realize that he had, like, kind of a big name in my city. And I just kind of was a little bit too honest with him at dinner. And, I could completely understand why he never talked to me again.
When you say too honest, I don't know. From what you're describing to me, it doesn't sound like you're too honest. I also want to clarify that, like, I am not anti-conservative. Like, like, what I am anti is I'm anti, like, lack of critical thinking or lack of, like, developing your understanding. That to me is frustrating, right? It's like that's what I look for in a partner. I've dated conservative people, I've dated extremely liberal people, right? But if I'm like, hey, like, you know, there's a school of thought that it seems like you're not aware of that's, like, a cohesive worldview that is not like the one that you have. Like, I need you to at least understand it so that, like, you know, because, like, I share some parts of this worldview, maybe not the entire thing, but, like, you know, I understand that this is a valid set of things. And so that's how I frame it in dating, where it's like, you can believe whatever you want and I will respect you, but at the same time, like, it's important to me that, like, if we have a discussion about this, like, you can at least understand the other side and how somebody else might see this. But I don't know, that's just how I kind of approach that. You're saying that, like, you were too honest, you're embarrassed and ashamed about that type of thing. Like, is that fair?
Because of him, like, being, like, known in the area, because I'm not from the city that I live in now, he was very concerned with, like, an image, and I wasn't willing to just be, like, to go along with that image.
Got it. So, when, like, you say an image, like a trophy wife type of a thing.
Yeah. Oh, kind of. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
Like, a very educated, higher class. Yeah.
Got it. And you kind of conceptualize of yourself more of, like, differently than that.
Yeah, I wasn't. So I told him, like, I like to have fun, and I don't hold myself to a specific image that he was looking for. Yeah. Sure.
One time, I don't know if I should tell this story, but one time one of my exes took me to the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, and, like, I'm not, like, the most, like, erudite, like, ooh, the symphony. Like, you know, yes. I kind of got a little drunk on some of, like, the wine that you could order there. And
Yep.
I was like having a blast, and I just looked around, and everybody's wearing their suits, and I'm kind of like in my like button down, like, you know, and and I remember that kind of fish out of water feeling that it kind of feels like you're describing a little bit. Where it's like, oh, I should be, you know, I'm expected to play a role here, you know, and I'm not going to do it. So
yeah, exactly.
That creates conflict. Yeah, for sure. Cool. You talk about how creating content, especially your vlog, you know, I've watched some of your vlog, and you talk about how you use your content to sort of like heal in public, right? You talk about that sort of thing. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Have you ever like regretted posting anything that was like too vulnerable or anything like that?
I actually haven't.
Wonderful.
And I think it's because I typically wait, like if there's something really heavy, like the divorce, I haven't, I talk about it, but not like in detail. And I took like maybe 6 months off or so from when I was going through the divorce from vlogging because I intentionally didn't want to say something that I would regret.
Got it.
So yeah.
But now, since you're past that, we can talk shit all we want. Like,
yes.
I'm kidding. He sounds like a nice guy. Dude, if you ever want to come on the show, fucking let me know. But just please don't send armed guards to my house or something. QAnon people are a lot. I don't know, man. Yeah. Got it. Okay, cool. I feel the same way. Like a lot of my content is very vulnerable, but like, I don't know. Like once you post something like that, I don't know. I think that, I think that people act, and then like once you make a decision, I think like your brain retroactively justifies and stands by those things. I think most of the time, that's how my conceptualization of myself works. But cool. What version of yourself does your audience know, and what do they get wrong about you?
Ooh, I don't know. I've met one subscriber before. Ran into somebody at the gym that recognized me.
Cool.
They said something about like wanting to be like me because I just posted a vlog where I spent like a week in the woods alone, and I was like running around and like jumping in the river and making fires and stuff, and I just remember thinking like, oh, that was just like a maybe 5-10 minute video of like a week that I spent like it was, and I don't know, it just felt like, oh, you want to be like me, but you don't really know. It was just such a short video, so I don't know. I guess it's edited, and not everybody.
Yeah, they're getting
sees that.
curated. They're getting a curated thing. I mean that's very interesting. Like a 5-minute edited piece about a story of you spending a week in the wilderness is going to be very different than like, hey, I spent a week by myself in the woods. Can you tell me about that? Like, what was that like, spending a week by yourself?
Well, so I don't get lonely. I mentioned that in like the script that I did, and because people were asking me with my divorce, I lived with my ex for 6 years, and now I live alone. And I was like, well, I never feel lonely. I'm always busy, I think, because of YouTube. And I have like, just my mind's always racing. So I was out there filming. I kept busy. I had plenty of stuff to do, and yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good. So you were making content out in the wilderness and building fires and going swimming and whatnot. Yeah. Very interesting. That's really cool. I kind of want to make something like that. I think if I made my video alone in the woods, it would definitely be like, oh, cool, this man's insane. Like, you know, like Noah decided to move off grid for a week and like be crazy.
Yeah, like a Naked and Afraid.
Yeah. It'd be
shaking
so fun.
Camera. Yeah.
Dude, that'd be so much fun. If I did a week alone, naked and afraid in the woods, that'd be super fun. I mean, hey, I'm an Eagle Scout, man. I'd figure it out. Like, I love Naked and Afraid. Naked and Afraid's dope. Cool. Do you ever feel like trapped? Do you ever feel trapped in like an online persona, this character that you've kind of made for yourself in a niche maybe?
I felt like that a little bit with going through my divorce because we had like an old 4-bed 2-bath house that I was filming like almost like TradWife content, very like homemaker. And now I live in like a tiny little low-income apartment by myself, and I'm not a stay-at-home wife, essentially. I mean, I had a job, but like the persona that I had was kind of like stay-at-home wife looking like, because I don't show what I do for work. But then I was like, it's fine because I don't really have that many subscribers, so not that many people will care that I've changed a persona a little bit, but they'll also be like understanding because I'm not the only one that's like gone through a breakup and
Yeah.
that makes your whole life change. So
That's such a good point. Like the benefit of having such a small audience is that like they don't have a super solid expectation of how you should act or what you should do. So you can morph as much as you want to without much like loss of income or audience or anything like that. Yeah. So I think in a lot of ways it's very freeing. I think often about people like child stars, right? Child actors who blow up, right? Like people like Lindsay Lohan or I think Amanda Bynes,
the Disney,
you know, like
people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those, you know, the market falls in love with like what they are supposed to be at that time and place in society, right? And so I think that it stunts their growth in many ways, right? And they end up going through their lives being like, I have to fit this mold that everybody wants me to, because this is the mold, this is the identity that gives me value, right? Yeah. And I think that I think that it's beautiful that like you haven't been confined to that, and instead like you've continued to change and grow and evolve. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
If someone is, oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think if I like were to blow up and go viral over some content about being like divorced and single, living my best life alone, hot girl summer, and then I get a boyfriend, then it's like, maybe then it would be hard. Then I'd have to like pretend on camera to be single.
I don't think so. Okay. I think that like, as you grow and evolve, at least for me, I mean, everybody does their own thing, right? But I personally think like I say don't let the tail wag the dog, right? Don't let analytics, don't let audience expectation like get in the way of like how you choose to live, you know, and how you choose to grow. I think that that's like huge, and I think that parasocial relationships are very, very new, like societally, you know, they're only something that have existed for the past like 10 to 20 years, right? And I think that we don't know how to operate with them and grow into adults like as they exist. So I don't know. I think that that's something that society is still figuring out. If you had to give a message to somebody who feels trapped, you mentioned feeling trapped, and like, what does TradWife mean? Like traditional? Is that what that means?
Yeah, traditional wife. Yeah, very Christian, modest. Yeah,
got it.
Homemaker. Yeah.
If you had to, you know, offer a message or some insight to someone who is experiencing what that might be like, right? Living that trad wife lifestyle, right? What would you tell that person?
Like if they were going through a divorce, or
not if they're going through a divorce, maybe somebody who's like, they're like, hey, I don't necessarily think that this is the life that I want to lead.
Yeah,
like,
so you know? I think like with TradWife content, like that's very it's a trend right now, and I think a lot of girls like fall into that because of like the aesthetic, and they don't really see behind the scenes and how like the TradWife creators are actually TradWives because they have a business and they're making money. They're not actually living in like a single income house. So it's just like falling into any other trend that, you know, you've maybe fell into like an aesthetic that you liked, but that doesn't actually fit who you are. I think it's fine to try different things. I'm a big believer in like fake it till you make it. So if like you want to try like a different lifestyle, then just go for it.
Cool. As someone who does not know a ton of TradWife content and is not familiar with that, can you explain to me and some of my potentially male viewers, like, what is the appeal of the TradWife lifestyle?
It's a very like soft, like it has this look like the husband's taking care of you, you're just at home, all you have to do is cook and look pretty, wearing dresses while you bake bread. It kind of morphs a little bit into like homesteading, maybe a little bit like gardening, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so like it's like raise the family, bake some bread, go have a garden, raise a chicken, you know, read the Bible, and then you know, like and submit.
Yeah.
Wow. Whew. That sounds like one hell of a life. I'd like the homesteader stuff, but I think I'm more like libertarian of like, you know, like, hey, go out on your own, like, you know, like buy a gun, like, you know, that's like
That's my dream. I would love like if I could be just full-time YouTube, I would live off grid and just homestead and be like self-sustaining as much as possible.
Sure. I think that's cool. That's fun.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Like Ron Swanson, right? I think Ron Swanson's a pretty good is a pretty good role model. Not with everything, obviously. Like he hates the government and that's his bit, but like
Oh.
never mind. Anyway, cool. Okay. Your evolving identity, the future that's calling you. So, with the direction of your content, with the direction of the things that you're doing with your life right now, like who do you want to kind of grow into? Like, what direction are you moving into, and what do you hope for your life in the next year and 5 years?
It's tough because I have two different channels. I have like my fitness channel and my vlog channel. My vlog channel just turned a year old. Fitness is a little over 5 or 6 years. I have a hard time with the fitness channel because I feel like I've made all the content there is. It's tough to keep making like the same video over and over again. With my vlog channel, I actually want to change it and not make it because the reason I made the vlog channel is because my fitness channel just like became a fitness channel. So then I only wanted to upload fitness stuff, but then I had like all these other videos that I wanted to make. I love making vlogs because it's like therapy to me. They feel like it's like a journal entry, my vlog. So that's why I made the vlog channel, is just so I could upload whatever I want. And now I'm like, but it's a vlog channel. And now I want to make like food videos and all kinds of other videos. So I need to rebrand it a little bit away from just vlogs and more lifestyle.
Interesting. Can I ask you a question around that?
Yeah.
I think I've experienced, sorry, I'm trying to figure out ways where like my dog can kind of be a character in this show without like, you know, without distracting me from conversation, but sometimes he really likes attention. So, I've gone through similar things where like my YouTube stuff has been like, you know, I constantly find that I'm like rebranding, right? Because as I change, because like I have ADHD, right? My focuses change a lot, my interests change a lot. Have you found that Macho, sit and lie down? Good boy. Do you think that there might be... It seems like you have partitioned your fitness stuff away from your vlog stuff intentionally, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering though, like, do you think that there could be a potential strategy where it's just like, hi, I'm Bailey. This is my YouTube channel. This is everything. I'm interested in fitness, in vlogging, in wilderness stuff, and TradWife stuff, kind of, but not the wife stuff. More just the traditional, you know, independent stuff. And then like, and then, you know, also like food and healthy eating and frugal living, like that sort of thing. Like, what if you kind of combine
There's a lot of overlap, so it's hard because sometimes I want to make like a meal prep video, and I'm like, that could go on my fitness channel, but my fitness channel, people come to it for workouts, and it was more just because of like YouTube, thinking like maybe it would perform better in the algorithm if I was more niche down. But,
Got it.
Yeah, and the fitness is like I work out 5 days a week, maybe like 40-minute workouts 5 days a week, and that's the extent of my fitness life. So it's hard because it's not that big a part of my life. The way that like on YouTube it looks like my life revolves around fitness.
Got it. Yeah. Does part of you hate that? Does it like because I hear that and I'm like, okay, we live in a society where this giant corporation of YouTube.com is forcing Bailey to like, you know, compartmentalize her life so that it's easily consumed by the masses, right? I kind of don't like that at all. I think that like you should just be able to just like be a person, right?
Yeah.
And then like and if the platform, you know, elevates that's a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. But you shouldn't have to like partition and change who you are to like like that gives a company so much power over your life. Like, do you feel boxed in by that ever?
A little bit, but I also feel like if people find me through my fitness channel, with that being like my biggest platform, they can like, if they vibe with me, then they could go to my vlog channel, and I think I get more views having it compartmentalized, like you said.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. No, it works for you, and that is something that that makes a lot of sense. I think though that with the food stuff, are you going to post the food videos to your fitness channel or to your vlog channel?
I think the vlog channel.
Interesting. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Interesting.
Because I don't really eat like a bodybuilding like way.
Got it.
The traditional like protein supplements and all of that.
Yeah, tell me about that. You also said like I think that in your outline you mentioned like supplement addiction or something like that. Is that something that you mentioned? Or like overconsumption of supplements or something like that?
Maybe, yeah, because I I wouldn't say I'm anti-supplement, but I don't think it's as important as people make it out to be. I think there's a lot of like capitalism around it, and supplements
Marketing.
aren't
Yeah.
regulated. So if you buy like a protein powder on Amazon, it could just be like flour. You don't really know what you're getting. I don't think it's that important. I think people put way too much like put way too much importance on supplements when it's really better just work out and eat healthy and then see what you might need.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. So when you're talking about supplements, are you specifically talking about things like protein powder, or are you talking more like, oh, I take magnesium because it helps my joints and that sort of shit? Like,
Like mostly, I would say like BCAAs, fat burners, those kinds of things is what
got
I
it.
would be against. I do drink like protein every so often. I take creatine. I'll take a pre-workout if I need it, like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, those are the three that like I've also
Yeah.
used in the past and use heavily and use occasionally, like because those ones are the ones that like in my opinion have the most, not my opinion, but like those have evidence-based
Yes.
research to support them.
Exactly.
Those are
Yeah.
like the only three like things that
Yeah.
that do that, right?
Right.
Is like there's evidence that shows like having stimulants like caffeine before your workout, like you do more reps, and you can do higher quality reps or whatever, before fatigue. And then creatine also increases the number of reps you can do before failure. And then protein, like, you know, from my understanding, if you hit your protein macro, like it gives your body the amino acids that are
Yeah.
required to produce muscle fibers. And so, but everything else I've heard is kind of like marketing and bullshit. Does that
But
kind of
also, like, just if you're getting into fitness, you don't need to go to Amazon and get creatine and pre-workout and protein. Just focus on getting to the gym first.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's I think, you know, I think that like now that we live in a world where there's so much information available, right? You can go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole, right? I think that like for me, especially like with my ADHD, like I think I get into these planning phases where I'm like, okay, I need to have the best thing possible before I take
Yes.
any action, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the best plan ever to make me to give me the fattest, juiciest ass. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, you know, if you want to start building your fat, juicy ass, just fucking go to the gym. Like go once. Like, you know, that's
Yeah.
gonna do more good than like you learning about BCAAs, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Beautiful. All right. Is there a version of yourself that you're afraid to become? Like who would you be afraid to be? You know, what's like your biggest fear? Like, oh, Bailey is that type of person if they like miscast you or something like
I
that.
do worry about like getting canceled, I guess, in a way, like because
Interesting.
I don't want to like say something the wrong way or get something taken the wrong way, and then people hate me because I don't because like they thought I was fake or something. But I don't
Sure.
know like what exactly that would be. I know a lot of times with like vegan things, like somebody could be like, "Oh, those shoes that you're wearing are leather," and like I don't know.
Oh
and
my
that'd be
God, what a
fine.
nightmare. Fucking
I
people who
know.
are like super crunchy being like, wow, well, you know, your fucking thing is not like, you know,
Like if
approved.
I cook something and I use sugar, and they're like, "Lily, you should have used maple syrup," like something like that. But
Kill me
I
now.
like to think that I'm very realistic, so
Sure.
I'm gonna use sugar.
No, for sure. Like,
Yeah,
God, is there like a sugar trade that I'm unaware of where like every time I eat sugar, like I should feel guilt?
I guess. Yeah, no, nothing like artificial. Yeah,
Got it. Okay.
yeah,
Got it. Okay. So it's more about like artificiality instead of like,
the natural thing. Yeah.
I was assuming there was some like horrible like labor practices or something
Yeah, I
from the
think
sugar
like
industry.
cocoa and palm oil. Yes, gotta avoid those
Got
because
it.
of free trade or something. I don't know.
Yeah. No, yeah, the labor regulations and stuff around that.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny is something that I frequently talk about is when YouTubers start businesses, right? They start with all these like high ideals, right? Like if you look at Mr. Beast Bar, like I remember like he started like, oh, you know, it's gonna be good for the consumer, right? It's a high quality dark chocolate, and then like they put the product into the market, and it's like, oh well, nobody actually wants to consume this because like it doesn't taste good to the children that you're selling to, right? So then they like fill it with sugar and cocoa, and they start like, you know, compromising on certain things. Now that said, I think that company in particular does use sustainably sourced cocoa that's like ethically sourced, so that's good. But yeah, it's weird. It's very strange to have to you know, make decisions in your life that like are approved by committee. Like that sounds exhausting.
And like as a creator, you have to be so careful because like, you know, one person cares more about this than the other person. Like you can't please everybody. So
right. Can I say that one thing that I found very liberating, I don't know if you've noticed, but many, 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 many people have communicated to me that they do not approve of how I've conducted myself, the things that I've done, the things that I've said, and they think that it's very appropriate to just like, you know, shit all over me.
Yeah.
And so, like, I will say that is mentally taxing for sure, but also it's extremely liberating, right? Because what you just said is like, you can't please everybody all of the time. You know, it's like, okay, cool. Like, instead of focusing on like, how can I be this thing that the committee approves of? Instead, it's just like, this is what I think is correct at this time. And eventually I might grow into a person who doesn't think that this is correct, and my thinking will evolve, right? But it's very freeing to just be like, hey, this is exactly what I think, and I'm going to say it angry, or like I'm just going to communicate how I want to, you know? Does that sound appealing to you, or does like the constant like fucking negative feedback from shitheads online, is that more scary than it is appealing?
More scary. I mean, I haven't like gone through that yet where I've gotten a bunch of hate for something. But I can understand, like, you can't please everybody. And sometimes I think being like your true self and getting hate for something by like the masses can like be a good thing, because it like grounds you in like who you are, where instead of like trying to please everybody, you're being more honest with yourself. And I think that brings like the right people to you as well.
I completely agree with that too. You know, saying exactly what I think most of the time has been very, very nice, because like people who do not want to be around you suddenly just like disappear. And the ones that do want to be around you, they enter your life more frequently. And I think that now that I've started to live this way, it's very, very, very nice, because that said, it comes with complication as well. So beautiful. All right, Bailey, if you had to, so you know, you are a person that has been through some like truly like life-defining experiences, right? You went through this car crash, you went through this divorce, right? You are a YouTube creator. You know, you live this vegan lifestyle, and you sometimes you know, go to the woods for a week in isolation, right? If you had to distill the wisdom that you're trying to, you know, put into society, what is one thing, if people could take away something from the way your lifestyle has been lived this far, the wisdom of your life, what would you wish more people understood about the world?
I try not to be too hard on myself. Like I don't like hustle culture. I don't know. I feel like that's the biggest thing that I like want people to take away from my content and stuff, is just to slow down and have fun, enjoy life. Yeah.
I like that. Slow down, have fun, enjoy life. You're not a big Gary V hustle, 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 grind.
Absolutely not.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. Why not? What's your big problem with that?
I don't know. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah.
What about it doesn't work for you? What negative things has that led to in your life?
It wouldn't make me happy. Like I burn out easily when I go like through stuff like that. Like I was telling you earlier, I finished high school early. I got 3 college degrees by 20, and that burnt me out. I think that was like, I was definitely in a hustle culture grind, like listening to the podcasts and stuff back then, and I didn't like where that led me. And I think moving too fast in life makes it hard for you to decide if you're truly happy. Like I was what I was working towards with my degrees isn't something that I want to do anymore. And so I think if I were to like hustle and grind maybe on YouTube, that might lead me and my channel somewhere that I don't want to be.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I really like that. I really like that. And I think that that's a very like countercultural narrative, right? Of like, hey, like, because I think we live in America, right? And like
Right.
America is all about like individualism and hustle and
Right.
bust your ass until like, you know, you can out earn your, you know, like you can offset the cost of living, you know, and then build an empire and conquer the world. And that's kind of like that's like I think the modern American dream, right?
Yes.
And so like your narrative of, hey, slow down, enjoy your life, like stop and smell the roses and make sure you're having a good time and you're the person you want to be. I think that's
Yeah.
extremely powerful and a good message to share. Beautiful. Well, cool. Bailey, I'm going to let you go ahead and plug your content. Where do you want people to follow you? What do you want them to do? How can they support you?
I'm Bailey Schaefer on YouTube. That's my biggest platform. I'm also on Instagram. I'm a little bit less edited on Instagram. And then my vlog channel is Bailey's Vlogs right now, but eventually it might change that.
I love it. Cool. What do you think you're going to change it to?
I don't know yet. That's why I haven't changed it. I'm
Got
still
it.
deciding. Yeah.
Got it. And the food's coming out. The food video's coming out about eating vegan.
Yep. Some recipes, yeah.
Wonderful. What's your
Especially
favorite like
affordable
vegan
recipes.
Got it. Okay.
Since going through my divorce, I've had to be a lot more cautious with finances. So, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
part of the brand too, is like living frugally and still
Yeah.
eating vegan. Very
Yeah.
cool. Got it. Well, beautiful. Do you mind if I give my little plug at the end here?
Yeah, of
Here we
course.
go. Wonderful. Cool. So guys, I'm trying to build my little like YouTube cinematic universe, right? Trying to interview interesting people who have like interesting and unique lived experiences and perspectives. There are a few things that you can do to support me. The first one is like the video. It would be fantastic. I'm trying to do this like very regularly. And like, as I grow, like things are going to be imperfect, right? And I'm realizing that like, I need to stop this like obsession with perfectionism, this obsession with editing everything to be perfect, right? So if you enjoyed this conversation and you liked the rawness and authenticity of it, please like the video. Next thing you can do would be subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know that number probably doesn't seem relevant to you, but it's actually very helpful and like because like that makes it so that my content gets put in front of more people. So that's super helpful. Also, if you could leave a comment, like comment your thoughts, like what do you think about Bailey and my conversation?
Yeah.
You know, definitely be nice, right? If you're gonna be mean, do not be mean to Bailey. But like if you're gonna be mean, go ahead and be mean to me. That's fine. I'm used to that. Also, please don't be mean. It'd be cool if you were just super cool. I don't know. Cool. And then like the last thing too is that like the tools to produce this type of content cost money, right? Like this content like is produced with specific tools that have subscription costs and stuff. So if you're looking for ways to support this channel and content like this that's kind of more authentic than it is, you know, manufactured and over edited, it would be really, really wonderful if you could support me over on Patreon, patreon.com/Noah Chrysler. There's a bunch of exclusive content over there. I'm about to record some React stuff that's going to go over and make it on Patreon. I have an AI prompt library that helps you with some like self-discovery stuff. There's one prompt specifically that I like that helps people find their ikigai, right? Which is like, you know, the intersection of like what you are good at and what like you could be paid for in the marketplace, and then like what you enjoy doing, right? So there's an exercise over there that will hopefully help you discover what that is for you. If you're interested in that, go over to patreon.com/Noah Chrysler and you can join for just as cheap as like $5 a month. $5 a month goes a long way because I'm a frugal ass motherfucker and I will spend it efficiently. Bailey, any closing thoughts, final things, final notes, comments, opinions that you're like, I need to say this?
I had a great time. Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah. Who would you recommend this show for in the future? People to come on this show?
I can't think of anyone.
It's okay. Well, you know what? Hopefully they volunteer. If you want to come
Yeah.
on the show, send me an email. contact@noahchrysler.com. Bailey, thank you so much for the conversation. I'm going to stop the recording, all right?
Okay.
Beautiful.